Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Tetra Travels. This is my new series where I'm interviewing people with spinal cord injuries that I believe have incredible stories to tell. This is part 2 of 4 to the story of Ross Morrison, so please make sure you go check out episode 1 to hear the first part of the story. But this section is all about his Paralympic journey. I hope you enjoy it, I hope you find it informative, and hopefully it inspires you to get out there and do something.
I was never aware of wheelchair rugby until I broke my neck. And then a few months after I broke my neck, I met a guy called John Nutman, who was, I think he was either president or secretary of the Great Britain Wheelchair Rugby Association, played for the Cardiff Pirates, ex-GB player, really nice guy. And he was down in Salisbury and I met him and got chatting to him, and he put me sort of in touch with some people. And then the London Wheelchair Rugby Club came down and did like a demo at the spinal unit. And of course, I tried it and I was hooked. I was like, this is a sport that I get to hit people in chairs with. I get all the things I loved about rugby, that speed, the aggression, the contact, the skill, I got to do in a wheelchair now. And having always been a really sort of sporty outdoor person, having an outlet now was huge. So that was my first introduction to wheelchair rugby. I didn't really do a lot about it for a couple of years because I went back to school, did my A-levels, and for those first 2 years post-injury, I was just focused on getting through school, adapting to life, and that took a lot of effort, a lot of time. I just wasn't ready, I think, to start doing stuff because it was getting back to school was hard. It was really hard. You can't understand how physically exhausting it is being in a wheelchair to start with, and also you still have got the mental challenge to deal with every day. That all combined, it wasn't until I actually finished my A-levels, I actually had the summer off, that I started playing some wheelchair rugby with the club, and of course just loved it to bits.
And so what was your journey from that initial joining London Wheelchair Rugby Club to actually being a Paralympian?
So I started playing entirely for fun. I had no real concept of or thought about going any further. It was just I found a sport to play. It was great. I loved it. And I was obviously going to university now at the same time, so I was having a good time at university. When you're a first year, you're not so much learning about my degree, which is biochemistry. Yeah, you're just learning about life and figuring stuff out, which from my perspective was great. So I was playing for fun, and it's like anything, you start to get good at it.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, you've got some potential. Why don't you try this? And so you start to sort of start. And I got my first. I went to a European club tournament as a guest of the East Midland Marauders, which is a wheelchair rugby club, who the current sort of GB captain was playing at the time, and they were looking for another player to come along. And that was cool. Really enjoyed that. And so it was like, okay, you've got some potential here. You could go further. And I'd sort of broken into the A squad or the development squad, and that was going well. But at the same time, I was still at university, so it's still very much part-time. In 2000, I went out to the Sydney Olympics to watch with a really good friend of mine who I also played rugby with, Jason Roberts. And we went out together. First time I'd flown. You fly to Australia in a wheelchair. That's an experience first time around. And just the whole Sydney Olympics was amazing. Seeing GB compete was awesome. And then watching, as well as I got to see international wheelchair rugby, which is another level. Watching Australia, New Zealand in the semi-final, 10,000 people. The final, USA, Australia, just amazing. I was like, at that point in time, I was like, I need to do this. I want to be here. So that's when I made the decision to really, commit, train full time, go for it. Made the full squad in 2001, and that was it. I was off and rolling, and then it was just an ongoing journey of just trying to get better and better. You start off on the bench, and you're trying to get a starting position, then you're trying to hold your starting position, and it was just amazing. One of the things that changed post Sydney was lottery funding. I can now train as a full-time athlete.
Yeah.
That's huge. I'm not reaching into my own pocket anymore, being supported to be an athlete. And so it was just amazing. And of course, that culminated in my first World Championships in Gothenburg in 2002, first European Championships in Lommel in Belgium 2003, and then Athens 2004. It was just Yeah, it was amazing.
Which Paralympics did you go to? Was it just Athens, or did you go to a
So I went
couple?
to Athens, Beijing, and London. At first, I'd only thought about doing Athens because I was like, okay, there's your opportunity to go and compete in Paralympics. Obviously came fourth, which was disappointing, but we had a good tournament. We played well. And I had very much intentions to get back into sort of the career pathway, get back into a job, do all that sort of stuff. And I was kind of half still playing for Great Britain, but I was also looking elsewhere. And then, of course, 2006, you get the announcement that London have the Paralympics.
Mm.
And I remember hearing the announcement on TV, and I just went to my parents and went, "Really sorry, I've got to give it a go."
Yeah,
So that very much determined my pathway for the next 6 years. Was obviously there was Beijing, which was an amazing experience in of itself, but your home Olympics. And the way I looked at it was, London's the only city to have held it 3 times: 48. No, 1908, 1948, and 2012. In our lifetimes, London won't see the Olympics again. So it's like that, and that was it. I was just full on focused on competing, and everything I was doing was about just being better, getting better at rugby, getting better at myself. I went and played in the American League for 5 years because that was the best league in the world. You want to get better, played over there, won a title over there, just playing around Europe, playing the UK, traveling the world playing rugby. It was a hell of a ride.
So, out in America, was that like paid opportunity as an athlete, or was
So I
it?
had to pay for myself to get there, so I paid my flights. But
Yeah.
then they put me up while I was out there, and then cover my costs, like getting to tournaments and stuff. So I mean, that's a huge privilege. Being looked after, making some amazing friends, and you're just training all week, going to tournaments. And it's serious rugby because there's serious players out there. All the top teams are capable of beating national teams. Because they all bring in imports plus the US talent, and it's amazing. It's such a privileged lifestyle. I spent a year in Sarasota in Florida with what the team at the time was the Hover Round Gunners. And that was really cool. And then I spent 4 years in Denver, Colorado with Denver Harlequins, and that's who I won a title with. And that, yeah, it's just amazing. I just have memories of we used to go train in a place called Washington Park, which is a huge park right next to University of Colorado, and you're going around in springtime in beautiful sunshine, just pushing around the park, doing stuff. All the co-eds are running around the park. And you're just going, this is a dream. What am I doing here? This is mad.
In all of those absolutely amazing experiences playing wheelchair rugby, what would you say is like your top moment?
Well, I mean, the London Paralympics,
Mm.
without question. I mean, the whole event. Usually when you play wheelchair rugby, you don't get that big a crowd. It's not really that publicized. Even when you win stuff, it's still not that big a news. It's changed a little bit now, but when you come out of that stadium to the opening ceremony, 80 or 1,000 people, and because you're wearing Great Britain on your back, flag on your sleeve, they're cheering for you. And going around the Olympic Park, people are stopping to say hello and get photos. Just the whole. You've gone from being in a very small world to a very big world.
Mm.
And I mean, just it was interviews on sort of TV, articles on magazines, and like Rugby World and stuff. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. One that I was truly, truly grateful for.
That'll be it for this episode. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Look out for part 3 coming soon. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Please leave comments down below what you think of this series, this new type of video. I'd love to hear your feedback. And yeah, share it with all your friends. I believe it's an incredible story he has. And I'd like to bring you more of these people that I think have made me better as a person and inspired me to go out there and live the life the way I do.